I'd like to ask you for a definitive and declarative statement without ambiguity or deflection. As the person who speaks for the president, does the president denounce white supremacism and groups that espouse it in all their forms?
This has been answered yesterday by the president himself, the day before by the president himself on the debate stage. The president was asked this. He said, sure, 3 times. Yesterday, he was point blank asked, do you denounce white supremacy? And he said, I've always denounced any form of that. I can go back and read for you in August 2019, in one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. In August of 2017, racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups. I have an entire list of these quotes that I can go through with you. He has condemned white supremacy more than any president in modern history.
Just to clear it up this morning, can you, naming it, make a declarative statement that you denounce, that the president denounces it?
I just did. The president has denounced this repeatedly. The president was asked this. You're contriving a storyline and a narrative.
I'm just asking you to put
He
this
said,
to rest.
I just did. I read you all of the quotes, and if you need to see them in writing, I will put them in an email. Paula.
So, Kaylee, can you right now denounce white supremacy and the groups that espouse it?
I just did. The president has denounced white supremacy, the KKK, and hate groups in all forms. He signed a resolution to that effect. The president just last week, perhaps you all weren't covering it, but just last week expressed his desire to see the KKK prosecuted as domestic terrorists. This president had advocated for the death penalty for a white supremacist, the first federal execution in 17 years. His record on this is unmistakable, and it's shameful that the media refuses to cover it. Yes.
Thank you. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security say that racially motivated violent extremism is one of the deadliest threats that we face in the U.S. Does this White House agree with that assessment, and what is it doing to combat this threat?
The president has done quite a bit to combat this threat. First of all, last week, he also, in addition to saying he wants to prosecute the KKK as domestic terrorists, he said that lynching should be a national hate crime. Again, I think there's no stronger signal that you can send than advocating for the execution of a white supremacist, the first time there's been a federal execution in 17 years. He's been unmistakable.
It's different than actually doing it.
He's continually condemned it, and it is really...
His record on this, to go to John's question, is mixed. He has condemned it, he has equivocated at times. He said he didn't want to acknowledge it or address it. His record is very mixed on this issue.
His record is not mixed in the slightest. And when you go back in history, you can see that
history right here.
When you go back in history, you can see that Jesse Jackson has praised the president as someone who served underserved communities. This president with Mar-a-Lago, it was the first Palm Beach club open to African Americans and Jews. And in fact,
his record is mixed. He has not been consistent on the issue of white supremacy. So I'm asking you, what has this White House done to combat what the FBI says is one of the deadliest threats in this country?
We're not having a debate on a cable news network right now.
You're saying that he condemns it. I have his record right here. It's mixed.
You need to let me finish.
His record is mixed.
It's quite funny that the media goes haywire about interrupting in debates and then chooses to pursue that very same tactic themselves. This is a White House briefing. You ask a question and you give me time to answer. Yes.
Will the president commit to participating in the next debate before the commission changes the rules?
First, with regard to the commission rule changes, the president made clear his view on that yesterday, that he thinks the only way there's a fair debate is a change in the moderator and a change in the Democrat nominee. He wants to debate. He plans on being at the debate, but he wants the rules to be fair and wants a fair exchange and doesn't want rules that cover for a certain candidate's inability to perform well.
Yes. Thank you, Kaylee. Can you explain why it's appropriate for the president to be holding rallies this weekend in 2 areas that this White House has declared to be red zones in Wisconsin?
Yeah, so the president believes that people have a First Amendment right to political speech. He is having a rally. People can choose whether or not to come.
But the governor has begged the White House to please not continue having events like this. Your own coronavirus task force says this is an area that people need to be really careful in, double down on social distancing. So why is it right for the president to be coming in there and holding another rally or 2 rallies?
We employ measures to protect rally-goers. We encourage
We've all
mask
covered these
wearing
rallies.
and
These people are
sanitizing.
shoved together. There are thousands of people standing close to each
Did
other,
you watch
not
the
wearing
Democrat
masks.
nominees rally yesterday? There was no social distancing there, so I assume you guys expressed the same line of questioning to the Democrats. But what I would say is this, is there really seems to be two standards of health in this country, one for Trump supporters and one for everyone else. You had 1,300 health experts literally sign a letter that said, we do not condemn these gatherings, speaking of the protests that we all saw play out, we do not condemn these gatherings as risky for COVID-19 transmission. We support them as vital to the national public health. So it's vital if you're protesting, but somehow political speech is no longer vital when it comes to a Trump supporter. Caitlin.
So the Proud Boys, or people who consider them to be members of this group, give voice to these misogynistic, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, anti-immigrant views. They're a despicable group by pretty much anyone's standards. So when the president was asked about them, and you say he denounced them, that's what you're insisting that he did on the debate stage the other night. If that's the case, then why are they celebrating what the president said on the debate stage in front of millions of people?
Well, I don't speak for that group, so I'm not sure why you're asking me why they're saying a certain
If
thing.
someone denounced you, you probably wouldn't put it on a t-shirt and make badges of it, right?
The president did denounce them. He was asked, will you tell them to stand down? He said, sure, and went on to
By,
stand.
which seems like an
He
instruction.
said stand back, and then just yesterday when he was asked, he said specifically stand down, a synonym with stand back, and the president said sure when asked by the moderator whether they should stand down. So
No, he
again,
said-
it's really interesting too to see that the media seems to be the only one putting the names of these groups into headlines, into media reporting. He didn't know who the Proud Boys were. The first time I heard of them was in the debate, but the media continues to put these names into circulation and give them a lot of public attention.
Given about
Justin.
12 hours, more than that, since from the debate from when he was asked to clarify yesterday. And he didn't come out and clarify yesterday. Instead, he did what you did when John asked you to unambiguously denounce these groups. You just pointed to past things that you've said. You can't, I just don't understand why you knew you were going to get these questions and you don't have a statement ready to just say, we do unambiguously denounce these groups.
Caitlin,
and they
you know what
are
is-
supporters that we welcome.
Do you know why people have lost trust in the media? There was a reporter from your network yesterday, and in a tweet said, quote, the president...
I'm asking you a question. I don't even know what you're going to bring up, but that has nothing to do with what I'm asking you right now.
I sat here when you lobbed your partisan attack question, so you will allow me to give an answer. The president and someone from your network said yesterday in a tweet, the president dodged a question about white supremacy. That was a tweet from a CNN reporter. The president specifically, verbatim, was asked yesterday, white supremacy, do you denounce them? To which he responded, I have always denounced any form of that. Those are the facts. And CNN, I know that truth is of no moment to your network, but those are the facts.
They're not
And
the
that
facts.
is
Why are
shameful of your
Republicans
reporting.
are calling on the
Thanks,
president
Kelly.
to be more forceful? His
Justin.
own party.
Thanks, Kelly.
As you know, the president has criticized the mail-in voting process quite a bit over the last few weeks. The other day, he said they found a lot of ballots in a river. Who is they?
What the president was referring to are something that we've seen just in the last 7 days, where in Wisconsin there were trails of May ending up in a ditch. That's, I believe, the specific he was referring to, and that included absentee ballots.
We're specifically, in this particular statement though, who is they that found those ballots, and where is this river anywhere in this country?
The local authorities. It was a ditch in Wisconsin that they were found, and I can get the article to your inbox if
He
you'd
miss-
like. And beyond
that's
that,
fine. If he misspoke, that's fine.
No,
So
that's-
he
I
meant a
believe
ditch. He meant
that's what the
a
president
ditch
was
rather than
referring
a
to.
river.
And you're missing the forest for the trees here. The point is,
No, I cover the
The
news,
point
and I
is-
like to report accurately in the news. And
You're-
when the president says they found a lot of ballots in a river, I simply want to know where the river is.
no, you simply want to ignore the fact of the matter. Again,
I got asked so
please
many
allow
questions
me to
about this
respond.
and
Allow me
my
to
Fox
respond.
affiliates. Where is this river?
Allow
And
me
I can't
to
give them
respond to you.
inaccurate information.
Allow me
and
to
that's why
respond.
I'm asking you.
This is what is happening here. You are ignoring the problem here, which is last week in Pennsylvania, you had ballots found in a ditch. That is a fact. In Wisconsin, 7 military ballots, all marked for Trump, were found cast aside. There are problems with mass mail-in voting. I actually don't understand the lack of journalistic curiosity and reporting on this. There used to be
the river is.
curiosity. In
Where's
fact,
the
the
river?
Washington Post before President Trump highlighted the problems with mail-in voting. They said the result was an unexpected stress test of mail balloting systems when this was tried, many of which were designed to handle only a small portion of the vote and are not ready to scale up in response to the pandemic. So the media once said mail-in voting is not ready to scale up in the middle of a pandemic. Now there's no journalistic curiosity when we're finding Trump
He's asking
ballots
you about it.
cast aside. There's no journalistic curiosity when
I'm asking you where the river is, and you can't give an
were sent out in
if you
Brooklyn.
say the
They were
president meant a
inaccurate
ditch,
ballots, and then
then say he meant a
100,000
ditch.
more.
I just want to know where the river
Filibustering
is.
and lack of journalistic curiosity.
I'm
Yes.
very curious. Where's the river?
Yes.
That's curiosity.